Welcome back to the All Heart No Fluft podcast with your host, Mr. Emotional, seasonal champion, top ladder player. Today's guests we have Monte Xristo, Shadowx, and Sqweeby. Get the insights on all the newest LOR news and some insights into the meta.
Wow.
You almost said Ludus news. Ludus?
That was incredible.
The Ludus news.
Okay, come get your Ludus news, bro.
Wait, my bad. Oh no. Edit it out.
Bro, this
That
isn't.
was-
Oh my god, I'm getting demonetized.
Nah, it's already clipped and shipped.
I'm getting demonetized. But yeah, welcome back. This is episode 4. I thought it was episode 4 last week, but it wasn't. This week is episode 4. And I have the boys. I got the boys back from episode 1. I got Monty, Shadowx, Sqweebsters. They don't need much introduction. I'm sure you all have heard of these fine gentlemen between their tournament championships, their big Twitch numbers, and their Shadowx does like some YouTube shit, I guess. But yeah,
Yeah, just a little, yeah.
yeah,
What's up, guys?
yeah. What's
I'm
up,
happy to
guys?
be back.
Me too.
Happy to be back. There's not a whole lot going on in lore right now, though. But
No.
you know, we got some hot buttons to talk about, anyways. We're gonna have a good time for sure.
Yeah. There's definitely not a lot going on. My last couple of podcasts, I haven't had any real competitive players on. I had like Puffball and then some casters, but now I'm here with some, competitive boys. I feel like it's a pretty appropriate podcast to talk about, I guess, the competitive side of LOR or just the future of like LOR. So we can start with the big elephant in the room that I actually didn't really talk about last week's episode of casters because I really couldn't talk about too much because of NDAs and shit. But yeah, no more seasonal broadcasts. Let's talk about that. Let's just jump right in with the big elephant.
Okay.
Would you hear Riot say we're not casting seasonals anymore? Like we're not supporting seasonal streams? What was the first thing that you guys thought?
Huh.
Like what?
I hope the money's going somewhere useful. I
Yeah.
hope the money's going somewhere good. Like I kind of understood the decision behind cutting the broadcast because I don't think the broadcast was drawing that many numbers compared to like an individual streamer streaming their perspective.
Mhm.
So it's a big money sink for sure. I just hope that they're using those funds elsewhere appropriately. And like I think they can outsource it still and like just enable it to be broadcasted by another company that wishes to do it. Like I don't think it's the end of the world for a seasonal broadcast,
Yeah, they did say it's just like the official broadcast is done. That's
Mhm.
all.
Yeah. So people can still stream their perspective. There can still be streamed like a broadcast stream. They're just not going to have all of the tools that they had previously. Like, you probably won't have the Riot Observer Vision. You probably won't have, obviously, the budget that whatever it was Riot paid.
Well, yeah, we don't know that though, right? Like for sure, I'm sure we know that they're cutting the money portion, but things like spectating, they might still allow, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
I see. Yeah.
Like I'm sure they'll provide some non-financial support. right?
Mhm. I mean, we would like to
Possibly.
think. Yeah,
I
say
mean,
that's the thing,
hopefully.
though, right? Is like we would like to think that the biggest thing with Riot for me has been the lack of just transparency, where it's like they say things like we're cutting cross yard for good reasons, and then they say things like, oh, we're doing like this. But they don't actually tell us what it all entails or like why a lot of times. It's not like they really owe it to us because we're just, people and they're, big ass company. It's not like they really answer to any of their players. But at the same time, like, yeah, we would like to hope that they're helping. Like, obviously giving spectator vision and that type of stuff won't hurt them financially. At least I wouldn't think so. But are they going to do that?
I would imagine so. Riot's pretty good about that, and like, they as a company they did build their foundation on communicating with their players. So
Mhm.
hopefully, and they've definitely been trying to do so more in recent like months. I know that they've been trying to speak out more. We saw the Twitter the Twitter account tweeting out saying that they're going to release the play map in 2 days, like actually attempting to communicate with us a little bit further. So I have hope, but hopium is copium.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
Mhm.
Yeah, I forced them to put out that tweet, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, people talked about it on Twitter a little bit, but they had before this mentioned that, they were like, we have big updates in store upcoming for competitive, and we haven't forgot about it. And then the biggest competitive update we got after that was that they were canceling the broadcast, but also doubling down on Worlds. I was expecting them to like either cancel or just scale back seasonals altogether.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty unfortunate that casting is no longer in existence, and I think the people hurt most by that are like aspiring up and coming content creators who like can't get a boost from it anymore if they do well, and also like the casters themselves, because now the casting team for Worlds is like never
It's
ever
locked.
going to change.
Yeah,
because there's
it's locked.
There's not any opportunities for like up and coming casters to show they're getting better, going from community tournaments to then a seasonal to then Worlds.
For sure.
Yeah,
I think
and
they lose the most from it.
Yeah, like as a player, that announcement was really like nothing to us, right? Like everything's still the same. But
Yeah.
as like a caster who's trying to get into like the scene more, or wants to cast like Worlds in the future, you're gonna have to put like some super extra work or something
For
to
sure.
get noticed.
For sure. I talked with.
I think the only way to do it would be to get famous independently in another game casting and then come back.
Exactly.
Is extremely difficult.
Right. Like I talked with the casters last week, for those of you that missed that, and that was something that they also brought up. Boulevard pointed out, like, Boulevard did not cast Worlds last year. It's not that Boulevard isn't known. I think we all here know Boulevard. I think anybody that's watched the seasonals knows Boulevard. I think he's only missed a couple. But now the question for him is like, how does he get to the point to where he can prove that he can do a world championship? Because he can't really grow anymore. Like he can't do any big things like that through like seasonal broadcasts and try and do upward movement there because it's all cut off. And then the biggest thing is, how did anybody new get anywhere? Like, yeah, you can start your own broadcast and stuff like that, but it's going to be really, really hard for you to compete starting off with your own like little grassroots stream and casting compared to somebody like Freak, Casanova, as a Pastry Time, like these people that are already established casters, not even just in LOR, but like worldwide famous casters trying to cast our world championship. And then I think in the same sentence, like you said, it doesn't really affect us as players. And I think it doesn't affect you as a player as much as it affects anybody trying to become a content creator. Because winning seasonals for me, the $10,000 was cool. I'm not going to say like, oh, $10,000 was nothing, I didn't need it, blah, blah, blah. Like it was nice, right? But I got probably so much more out of the fact that I can put things like seasonal championship in my title, put things like seasonal championship in my resumes, like the fact that I got FaceTime on a seasonal broadcast, like with Riot Games, did interviews with Riot Games, stuff like that. Like I got so much because I was able to be a seasonal champion and had all of these, Redditors and watch me, and all these like YouTubers and stuff like that, people watching on YouTube watch and see that, oh, Aggro won, oh, Mo won. Let me go check out his Twitch stream.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Tied into that too, like with the storylines stuff, that it's harder to like come up with storylines for competitive players. I feel like it also sort of devalues from a psychological standpoint what it means to be a seasonal champ, because like outside of the competitive circles of like people who are dedicated and follow the grassroots scene and like participate in the tournaments themselves, you won't understand how difficult it is and what it means to become a seasonal champ if you're not seeing it happen. So like putting seasonal champ, it'll be like, oh, okay, well, what did you have to do to get that? Like it doesn't, you win one tournament, that's it.
What I was actually worried about or thinking with seasonal championship was that because there's no official broadcast, and I guess I didn't think about, maybe Riot does give the caster vision stuff, right? Or the observer vision. But if they don't do that, how would anybody know who the actual seasonal champion is if it wasn't a well-known player?
I mean, I would hope the account still tweets it.
Yeah, and they tweet it out.
Yeah, I think like the funniest thing to me would be if somebody like not really well known wins. They don't stream it. And then, yeah, LOR Twitter is like, oh, we'll come up with some name like Winston won seasonals, right? And people are like, who is this person? Where do I find them? Like, oh, they don't have a Twitter account because they're not like, or their name isn't like, Winston LOR or something on Twitter. So we don't know exactly like how to find them. We don't know how to interview them. We don't know how to contact them. Like, do we even know what decks they use to win? Like, this could lead to so many just, in my opinion, hilarious scenarios for such a major tournament in the game.
That's why.
Oh yeah.
Go ahead, Shad. Okay. That's why I was gonna say that I just don't think it's feasible that they actually completely cut the broadcast, right? Like they have to enable it in some other way. Maybe they don't directly monetarily support it, but like Shadowx said, observer vision is very likely in my mind.
Yeah, and I was saying like this whole point, it's not really too big of a deal, right? Yeah, like it can lead to some funny situations, but like it's whatever, really.
Yeah, I don't think it's very likely. I just think, and I think even if something like that did happen, like you said, like it's whatever. No one is gonna lose sleep over not knowing who the seasonal champion is, right?
Yeah.
Like
we'll be like, oh, Winston, that guy's seasonal champ. Okay.
Yeah. Like
that's it.
Congrats, man. Like we're proud of you, type thing.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm sad my, favorite streamer didn't win, but cool, this guy won. That's pretty cool. And it'll be something we laugh at and like think back on. It's like, oh, do you remember the seasonal champion? It's like, no. Okay, well it was like, probably this guy or something. I think like
you know like the last 3 seasonal champs?
I actually don't. So I was actually planning a podcast, a future episode, little spoiler alert, of seasonal champions, like both NA and EU. And I was gonna try and get like, Mr. Bear or someone else in here also from Asia. And we were just gonna talk about what it's like to be better. There's like strictly better than every other person on the planet. But no, I was thinking about doing some sort of seasonal like edition. But I realized I actually don't know any of the seasonal champions. I know like from NA, I know Pushby because he was the first. I know Majin and Duckling.
Yep. Rigby.
Who? Rigby?
The guy who beat Random.
Rigby.
He won one of them.
Okay.
That might be all of them.
I don't know. I don't even know who won this.
That might be all of them.
I don't even.
No.
I legit don't remember who won the last seasonal.
Elder Senior or something like that.
So last season was Elder Senior. Before that was Black Boss.
Oh, Black Boss. Okay.
Yeah, before that I believe was Akati, right? Who beat Kochua in the finals.
Yeah.
Akati. Oh yeah, Kochua lost that finals. True. I remember that. Poor Kochua, dude. That guy's had just some sad. Didn't he lose 2 finals in a row?
No.
I feel like Kochua's lost 2 finals.
I don't think
in
it
a
was
row.
2 in a row. Like in seasonals, no. I don't think he made top 2 twice, did he?
I know there was the one
a
throw.
Different top cut. I don't know.
Well, because I remember there was the seasonals that he obviously threw against Zoe Nami, right? I guess that one everyone remembers. I felt like there was another time that he made it into the finals and didn't necessarily throw, but just like didn't win, and it was pretty sad. But yeah, like that brings a point of like people already don't remember or know who the seasonal champions are. Imagine if it's like not streamed and not talked about and not even like broadcast.
Yeah, like that like furthers my point, right? Like it's not too big of a deal.
Right. It's not gonna put the whole community into fucking unrest or some shit.
Yeah.
But it does, I feel like, lessen other like competitive card players wanting to come over to Runeterra to play.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't,
just because there's less awareness of the competitive side of it sponsored by Riot.
I don't think that's really that true. If you're competitive and you're looking to get into a competitive scene, you know where to go. You know where to find all this stuff, right?
Kind of.
Like this stuff only really applies to like the casuals.
Yeah, it only
who randomly see on Twitter, oh, seasonal champ. That's cool. Who is this? There's a tournament? Question mark.
Yeah.
But like, if you're actually like into the scene, then like you'll know automatically. Like, oh, this is seasonals. The one that comes every like few months.
Yeah. So actually, I don't think it affects other pro players at all, and I actually think more for I guess you can see it as a more toxic reason, as like, dude, no one's gonna take LOR serious. Like, there is no reason for a professional Magic player or professional Hearthstone player to legitimately give up their game and then come be a professional LOR player. You'll have people like Raptor, like Josh Under Layton, who casually top 32s, you know, like 5 seasonals, and just like while also being a Magic professional. Like, you'll have stuff like that happen where people will play in seasonal just because, like, oh, they're up and coming, I'll play because I have a weekend off and the game is fun. But I don't think it'll discourage pro players from coming to LOR because there's no reason for them to come to LOR already. Like, that's probably, like, not having a seasonal broadcast is not the thing discouraging them. It's probably, like, the game itself, the, like, lack of other things to go around the game. Like, there's, like, so many other issues with LOR's competitive scene that this might, like, you could consider it maybe a cherry on top, saying, like, oh, well, the only reason was to make my Magic streams popular by winning this thing and promoting it, right? And I can't do that anymore. But I just think there's already such... I think if you're already an established pro, there's not really a reason to come to LOR. And that was the biggest issue from LOR's existence.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think they meant by they're going to, like, double down on Worlds? Because we already know that it's not in person.
They're gonna have maybe someone actually organize it for us.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus, Shadowx. You know, okay, I think I'm just a pessimist, but when they say stuff like that, I've lost hopium in Riot, if I'm being honest. Like, when they say things like, I'm doubling down on Worlds, I think they, like, might stream top 64. I literally, like, I think that might happen. I, like, legitimately, that's, like, my bar of hopium. Is that they might stream the top 64, like, qualifiers to get to Worlds.
I mean, same.
If it's not that, it's literally just gonna be, like, better production quality of what they already did. Which I don't really know how you do that if it's not in person. I guess just, like, better graphics and stuff. I mean, like, to be fair, last Worlds was dog shit. They had the wrong graphics. They had, like... There was one time where they were saying someone's playing, like, Lee Sin... what was it? It was, like, Lee Sin Nami Misfortune or something. No, it was like Lee Sin. It was Lee Sin Nami Darius. It was some combination of cards that was literally impossible.
I remember that.
Yeah, and they were like, this is the deck they're playing in top 16 of the World Championships. I was like, no, it's not.
You know, Sqweeby, new video for you to make. You know.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Give me Singleton back.
Of LOR.
Yeah, it was like, I just died laughing. So honestly, my bar for that is not very high. But what do you guys like? Yeah, what would you want from the Worlds? Like, when they say double down, what are you thinking it means?
So, you know, I would like more than one qualifier tournament going into it. I would like those to be broadcasted, hopefully.
What do you mean by more than one?
How many did they do last time?
They did one. What?
Yeah, one per region. Like, you're talking about
you're talking about the top 64?
Top 64, right?
No, to get into that, right? There was the pre-qualifiers.
No.
No. The top 64 was like the technical pre-qualifiers.
Yeah. The top 6
cut to 8, right?
Yeah, so basically you qualified for top 64 by doing things like winning a seasonal points and ladder points. Then you made it to top 64. Then we all played in a big top 64 tournament, and then the top like 5 from NA, 4 from EU, 4 from whatever, like those 16 people made it into what they considered actual like Worlds.
But what were those DreamHack tournaments?
Oh, those were nothing.
Oh, that's just like standalone.
Yeah, that was just random tournaments.
I thought weren't those supposed to be for World qualifiers or something?
No, DreamHack is like, it's a standalone esports organization.
No, I know, but I thought they had them tied in.
No, it wasn't tied into anything at all.
Okay. That's
it was just
me being confused then.
Yeah, no, it was just random tournaments. Thinking that Riot would do a tournament series, you're crazy, Monty.
Yeah, I guess so.
That's next year.
I would like to see them do like a tournament qualifier for like the World's top 64 as an additional way outside of seasonals.
Like just last chance type thing?
Yeah.
Isn't that kind of what like seasonals is though? Is like the final seasonals is like the last chance? Like, okay, like all hope is lost. This is your tournament. You top 4 this tournament or you don't qualify.
Maybe make the bigger seasonals. Maybe make the last seasonals bigger then, as like a.
Well, that would make it worse, right? That would make it less competitive. If the goal is to make it more competitive, that would make it less competitive to invite more people.
Yeah, you're right. That's not what I meant. Like bigger prize pool.
Oh, I see. Like more important, I guess. So people.
Yeah.
I see. As like double it down. Double down as like
what they're gonna do. Or go for it.
No, I was gonna say like that was it. Is it you think they're gonna like double down as like this is seasonals and last chance qualifier?
That'd be cool. I would like that.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I think they're gonna just add more money to the prize pool, I guess, and maybe add, I don't know, like a trip to Riot or something for the winner or the top. But they could like add some sort of other special prize outside of the trophy.
Mm-hmm.
It not being in person is a bit disappointing.
Yeah, that's really sad. I also thought that they're just gonna add more money in the prize pool. Like my expectation or like my want is cast like top 64 and make an actual storyline out of it. Like Majin's storyline, when they talk about it in top 16, it's not as cool. For those of you that aren't aware, Majin last year lost the first round of top 64 qualifier for Worlds and literally had to win the next 7 in a row to qualify for top 16. And watching him do that through like his stream and through the Giant Slayer stream was like nuts. It was so cool. And it was like, this very hype moment, this very cool story. But then once you get to top 16 and they were talking about it, it's a lot less cool because you're not watching it happen. You're not like, if you didn't watch exactly an off-brand stream, like a not right stream, you didn't even know it happened. And it just took a lot away from it. Whereas if they stream the top 64, you can see the story happen and the emotions I feel like would be a lot higher. Getting to interview and talk with these people like the moment after they just ended up going 7-0 and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But realistically, I'm with Sqweeby here, and I think they're just gonna add more money to the prize pool and just call it a day.
Which is like for seasonals, like the prize pool is large, like unexpectedly large.
Yeah.
I've talked about this with other people. Like, again, if they're saying they're not getting a lot of views and like seeing return on investment, I would have liked to see them, outsource the casting for way cheaper. Maybe you take 10,000 out of the prize pool or whatever. First place still gets 5K. I mean, that's a lot of money still. Yeah. And then you like give that to someone like MR or Giant Slayer, who they already have contracted, who can do it for less. They don't need to hire like quote unquote celebrity LOR casters, and can just do it more affordably with regular casters for the grassroots tournaments. And then at least we still get to have a cast. That's a solution I would have liked to see tried, I think.
Yeah. Do you think there's going to be seasonal tournaments a year from now?
I hope so. Do I think so? I'm uncertain.
I think probably 2 years out.
2 years out?
2 years out, we probably would. Yeah, they may cancel. I don't know. What do you guys think they would cancel first, seasonals or Worlds?
Worlds.
I might expect them to cancel Worlds first. So maybe no Worlds. Yeah, in a year or two. It's just like it. If we are so
Worlds is ever getting canceled.
You don't think Worlds will get canceled? Really? I actually didn't think there was going to be a Worlds this year. Between how shit it went last year, like how shit LOR numbers are just in general, like, and how much people complained about it, I fully expected there to not be a World Championship this year.
Yeah, but LOR does really well on YouTube, and where World Championship VODs are going to hold up really well? On YouTube.
Oh, okay. I see people say that a lot on Twitter, where they say like LOR YouTube is great, like LOR Twitch sucks, LOR YouTube is great. Do you know why LOR? But do you know why LOR YouTube is good?
Why?
For all of the meme content creators post their stuff on YouTube.
Yeah.
Not a single competitive LOR. Or there's one. It's literally just Majin Bei's competitive channel like does okay, but most of his videos aren't even competitive videos. Again, they're still just like meme fun decks that I play.
Yep.
And that's what's pulling in views. Is if you take out the grappler, the swim, the mogwai, like LOR YouTube doesn't get nearly as many views as people think it does if you take out the for fun.
Well, that's just educational content in general. Like it does quite poorly across most games and like most brands.
Yeah, I think that's cool, and I think like because of that, they should lean more into the like not competitive side, or people shouldn't be surprised when people are like, oh, competitive LOR is like, quote unquote dying, or competitive LOR is not doing great. They're cutting seasonal broadcasts. Like, what is happening here? Like game dead. It's like, no, game's not dead. Game's not dying. It's like just competitive isn't great. Like it doesn't do great anywhere.
I mean, their return, like it's such a small percentage of the player base
Mhm.
don't get that much out of hosting these. And now that they're cutting the casts, it's like they're not even getting views. So I
To
don't
be
see a reason for them to hold it like in the long term.
Right.
to be fair, our numbers, like our Twitch numbers during Worlds, were actually really good. We had like 11K viewers in our category, which was rivaling Hearthstone at the time. I remember taking a screenshot, and they were pretty close.
Yeah, I think that's really good for LOR. I agree. I think having 11,000 in the channel is really good. I think the only time LOR gets that is basically just on like release day or the day before patches. But even then, that's still like crazy. The fact that I honestly think, and I'm gonna be honest here, if Swim wasn't on the casters desk for Worlds, and Swim streamed and Grappler streamed, I think them combined would actually like rival the views of the World Championship.
Oh, they would have more.
Like, and that to me is so that is so depressing. And that to me shows like, yeah, I also would have cut the fuck out of seasonal broadcasts. Like, I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
The amount of money Riot loses on seasonals before broadcast, just period, is insane. So to also rival, like, when you can just have somebody else, because you know Swim's gonna stream it. Like, there's no way he's not picking up this $5,000 check every fucking 2 months, and he's just gonna do this thing. So they're like, oh fuck, people will stream it anyways. Why do we have to spend money on it?
Absolutely, that's the exact same thought process I had when they announced that they were cutting the broadcast. Right, the streamers are gonna stream it anyways. If they're streaming it anyways and they're gonna do it for free, and they're already getting more viewers than we are.
Yeah.
Like, why should we continue doing this?
Right.
It just doesn't make sense for them to do so.
Yeah, because people don't. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Hopefully, with the Worlds format, like being more inaccessible and being a Worlds event, they'll really step it up this time and they'll do it properly. And I think, what was I saying before? I forget now, but yeah, that's my point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think what's next for LOR? Like, LOR is obviously growing. Do you think LOR is gonna actually just turn into a PvE game, like a Slay the Spire type, like Path of Champions or whatever?
They can't monetize that. There's no way.
I mean, if they released expansions as like DLC for Path of Champions, they could monetize it. I was gonna say $15
they
for,
also
new competition against new heroes or whatever, new tracks.
They also don't monetize competitive.
Like, we have cosmetics.
Yeah, you can use the cosmetics in your PvE runs as well.
Yeah, there's always ways to monetize. Don't worry.
I guess
people were saying like it doesn't matter using them in PvE because obviously you're playing against a computer, so it's like you're not like showing them off, quote unquote. But the more I think about it, like if all you're playing is PvE and you're just looking at your own champions, like
don't you want it to be shiny?
Maybe you don't care because you're just like, well, I'm looking at it and this is what I play, so it doesn't matter that other people don't see it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Riot has finally figured out that competitive card games aren't really the wave anymore. And they're like, holy shit, every card game that's been successful that has came out in the last like 5 years has been like these deck builder, like PvE solo style games. Like, what are some of the like any new card game that's came out and like done well has been like games like Slay the Spire, Inscription. Like, what all? Yeah, there's another one, I don't remember the name of it, but it's essentially the same idea, just like different skin. Where it's like all these games are just single player mode, like high replayability type thing, and it's just like, not a single successful PvP card game has came out in a very long time. You
know what we should do? We should make an auto battler game like that.
Yeah,
where it's like single player auto battler game. Is that what the Bazaar is turning into?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Sorry, that was a complete tangent.
I thought this was a segue into making a battlegrounds for fucking LOR.
Oh, we can go that way. That'd be cool. You brought that up the other day on Twitter and on your stream. I thought that was a really cool idea. I don't know how successful it would be though, because like TFT does exist, but they're different enough games. Like you and I have had this conversation before. Battlegrounds is so fucking simple.
Yeah.
TFT is so fucking hard.
Yeah.
And then you got Storybook Brawl, which is just kind of in the middle there.
Yes.
If you could make a Battleground style game for LOR, it might help feed TFT players into the game, and it might help feed players into TFT, and rather than hurting both games, it might help them. But who knows, to be honest. Like, you'd have to do like a market analysis, and I'm sure Riot would if they decided ever to do that. But I think it'd be cool.
Yeah, I actually don't know if it'd feed like into each other. I think it would just like. I think it'd be their way of saying we don't give a fuck about PvP anymore, so just play this. Like LOR would actually just be dead. Like the competitive PvP LOR would be dead if they released like LOR Battlegrounds. But I think as a whole, the entirety of LOR and definitely its Twitch section would grow like in exponential numbers compared to where it's at now.
So you think it would have the same effect that Battlegrounds did on Hearthstone?
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Kills competitive?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I think competitive's already dead. Like,
but
I think it's fucking dead.
You know what I meant. I didn't mean competitive. I meant like a non, like a ranked experience.
Like PvP and stuff.
Yeah. I don't know. I think both could survive, but like maybe not. Maybe it does just drown it out.
You gonna say something, Sqweeby?
Yeah, sorry, I'm really focused on this bronze Smurf game I'm in. Yeah, I think it like there's not enough reason for them to do it if they're already seeing success with Path of Champions, and then TFT is just like as much of a mega hit as it is. They can kind of just keep doing what they're doing and see success in that. Also, we know like the LOR team comparatively is like fairly small compared to the other teams, obviously just based on budget sizes and stuff. So they're already working, with a limited amount of resources. So the game would take a pretty severe hit, I feel like, if they were to develop something like that for LOR without like bringing in a whole new external team.
Right.
But I don't know. It's interesting, like, dichotomy between us feeling like, competitive LOR is like taking a backseat while also hearing that like maybe for the first time since launch, the game is really gaining a lot of players, and we're just like not feeling that or seeing it so much.
I've been lurking on Reddit a lot more lately, and in my lurks, I've seen a lot of people saying, I only play PvP, and I'm like, what do you mean? Or sorry, not PvP, PvE. PvE.
Yeah.
I'm like, they're like, I'm scared to go into a PvP game. I'm like, just play. Just play.
Yeah.
You can't improve unless you play. If you keep playing against the bot all day, you're just gonna learn to play against the bot.
Yeah, I think that might just be our types of mentality though, because I also understand people that only play PvE. Like Sarah would literally never play LOR ranked, ever. She would never play LOR ranked. If LOR had a good Slay the Spire mode, she would play it. Because she's played Slay the Spire. She's played Inscription multiple times. She owned both of those. She plays them all the time. She has hundreds of hours in both of those combined. But she will never play a ranked game of LOR. But if they released a good one, she's told me she'd play it.
Path of Champions is like a good foundation. It just needs more. But like I play it. I waste time on it.
That's what 2.0 is for, right?
Yeah.
Pog.
Yeah. Pog.
I mean, we'll see.
Yeah. But yeah, I think there's just like a whole like entire wave of people, or like I don't know what you would call like a bubble of people, where all they do with card games is they just want to play these like deck builders just for fun. Like they just want to play. Like I'm sure if TFT had a single player mode where you could do something like that mode would also be extremely popular.
Yeah, I mean,
like,
people just love building like decks and just playing them or trying different things or exploring new cards. Like, okay, like a perfect example is for those of you who play like IRL TCGs like Magic or Yu-Gi-Oh or whatever, how many people at your locals were actually good? And how many were just randoms who built like the weirdest shit, lost every tournament they entered, but but they always tried and they kept trying it. Yeah. I don't even know if they had fun losing, but they keep trying.
Yeah, they keep trying because when it does happen, they get their like fucking Urge Dragon 5-color Wombo combo deck to go off. They're like filled with adrenaline. But that's also why Commander is literally the most popular game mode for Magic the Gathering. For those of you that don't know, Commander is where you build a 100 card deck. You can't play more than one copy of a single card in your deck. And they have restrictions. You basically build, like, you pick a legendary unit, and you can only play colors in that. So in LOR terms, you would pick, like, Lee Sin, and you could only build Ionia. Stuff like that. And that is literally the most popular game mode for Magic the Gathering, because it is the most, like, it's super casual, but also can be competitive, but it lets you express yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And those people are always, like, usually the majority, or more than you'd expect at your locals.
Yeah, for sure. 100%. I think if I were to go to my game store, literally right now, I'd be more likely to find tables of Commander going than I would be of people sitting there grinding rank 1 like games into each other, like tier 1 decks into each other.
True.
I think stuff they could do to like help competitive if they wanted to was do stuff like 2v2 ladder could be really exciting, especially for streaming, or like
I don't know about that.
Well, like you could have like 2v2 tournaments and stuff like that. It would just be a separate thing
It's
to
like different format.
get more engagement. Yeah,
like
different
one, right?
format.
Yeah.
Like the labs, you mean?
Yeah. You remember?
No, but like
on
on ranked ladder.
No,
I don't
yeah,
know.
but like that kind of like thing.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, something like that. Yeah, or like best of 3, actual best of 3 competitive ladder. Like they could be making updates like that. I think that would help draw more attention and excitement for competitive LOR as opposed to like a whole new sort of game mode.
Yeah, I think the issue with that is like, where do you draw the line? Like, what is the answer to that? Because again, the people that want best of 3 ladder are in the biggest minority, like in LOR. So it's like, even people say things like, well, just make Masters best of 3, because obviously if you are in Masters, you like try hard at the game or you grind a lot, and that's also not true. I have a friend that makes every single season, makes it to Masters, making his own homebrew deck, like because he enjoys the game and he has fun with it, and he's like a not bad player and spends a lot of time playing the game. Like, you don't have to be a try hard, grindy, sweaty, trying to win tournaments player in Masters, and like it could just be a side effect of having fun or playing good decks. So it's like, even if you do the only Masters thing, that's going to deter, if anything, it deters a lot of people from hitting Masters. Like, because if I was that guy, I would never want to hit Masters, because I'm like, yeah, I just want to have fun, dude. I don't want to sit here and play best of 3. I don't want my fun deck to get banned out. I don't want like this to happen. I just want to play my fun deck. Like, if it works, I'm happy. If it doesn't, who cares? I don't want to get banned.
Go next. Yeah.
I don't want best of 3 ladder, for the record. Like, I don't want to have to sit through a 3-game experience every time I want to play ladder. Do I want it available as an option sometimes? Yeah. Gauntlet sucks because it closes and like the skill gap is massive. But if I could jump into a best of 3 mode and play a best of 3 set randomly, okay, I'm there for that. But I don't want to be forced into it every single time I want to play a ladder game, you know?
Yeah, I think that's what I've heard like most people say is like, well, obviously the best solution is to have what Magic Arena has, where it's, pick if you want to do best of 1, if you want to do best of 3 and stuff like that. It's like, I feel like that's so many resources and that's so much coding to go into something that, again, only affects the fucking minute of the minority. Because even within the 0.5% player base that is the competitive scene, again, like we literally see it here with Monte, where it's like only a portion of those people want the best of 3 ladder. So even within the minute minority, there's an even bigger minority that wants something. And it's just like, it's just, I don't know.
Yeah, best of 3 ladder would be a nightmare.
I think doing anything with the intention for the competitive community is like probably minus EV on Riot's end. Unless it is literally free and literally doesn't affect anyone else, it is minus EV.
I'd also like to point out competitive's not dying.
You don't think competitive LOR is dying?
I mean, it never lived to die.
It did live. It just didn't live as people wanted it to. That's the problem.
Yeah, I actually think the early games
it's still going.
Yeah, I think the early of LOR was like probably the best competitive it ever had, and that was before Riot even got into the scene. Like Jamfest indoors, people love that shit, and people played in those. Like every single weekend, people were playing for like $200 tournaments.
True.
And I don't know what happened, but now we have people like Mastering Runeterra who are hosting daily $100 tournaments, and they get like 10 people.
Yep. Yeah, it's kind of sad, but
yeah,
it's
just weird. I don't think the tournaments went anywhere because, like I said, like you said, Monty, you brought up earlier, off stream that there's like 10 plus viewer. Maybe it wasn't you, but someone brought up that there are like 10 tournaments a week now.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's an.
There's a ton of tournaments now, right? There's the Mystic Shot Weekly. There's the Mastering Runeterra ones on Monday, Wednesday, and Sundays, I think.
I thought it was like every day.
Nah, they've scaled back because, like you said, they just weren't getting the turnout.
Mm-hmm. Well, they also added a Sunday with a bigger prize pool.
Oh yeah, the $200. I didn't know if that was announced or not. I saw Sarah doing the graphic for it. Yeah, the $200 Sunday thing. I don't know.
Maybe. No, I think it's been announced. I think
I'm pretty sure it has, right? There's one this weekend. It has to be announced.
Yeah.
Okay, you say there's one this week and it has to be announced, dude. They dropped this $100 daily thing 2 days before Monday. They literally dropped it.
You knew.
That's better than Riot, you know.
Like,
if you knew, you knew.
Remember when Riot announced the World's Top 64 qualifiers like the week after it happened?
Yeah. Or was it Brazil announced the seasonal champion like weeks after the seasonal was over?
Yep.
That shit cracked me up. And they were like, no, I don't even think they announced the champion. They just said like, watch the top 32 or something like that. But it was already a week after like Black Boss won.
Yeah. Also, I want to give a shout out to the new LoR community manager. I'm fairly certain there's a new one because they never interacted like this before.
Oh, you're talking about like the Twitter person?
Yeah.
Yeah. Super shout out to them.
Yeah.
Because they've been doing their best.
Yeah, I feel bad for that person. I feel like they get so much shit and they see so many tweets that are like, I hate Riot, but then it's like at Play Runeterra, so whoever the intern is, they're like has to see it. I couldn't do that job, dude.
No, I couldn't do that job either. I got mad respect for that person.
No,
fired on day one, never hired because never applied, bro.
Yeah, but what do you think kind of happened to the like competitive scene? Like, because the tournaments didn't go anywhere. If anything, we actually have a lot more tournaments now.
Yeah, so that's my point, right? Like the competitive scene is fine.
Do you
it's
think?
Just not what people wanted, right? So currently, from last year to this year, seasonals is pretty much the same, right?
I mean, up until the next seasonal, yes. And that's what you mean.
What do you mean?
I mean, there's like no broadcasts.
But as a player, that doesn't mean anything to me, right?
Yeah, okay. If you just mean like structure, it actually got better because it used to be single elimination, but now it's better.
Yeah.
Oh, like that. Yeah. So like seasonal is generally the same.
Yes.
Worlds is potentially better. I mean, like bottom line, Worlds is probably going to be the same format. I don't expect them to change anything.
No, 100%.
Aside from adding a broadcast to the top 64.
Maybe.
So basically everything's the same for competitive. And because of all this, like it's like a weird thing. So because of all this negative hatred and backlash, there's more and more like push for like Mastering Runeterra and like Runeterra Life and Mystic Shot to like have these weeklies and grassroots scenes going. And as you can see, they're popping up everywhere now, right?
Yeah.
Like trying to take things into their own hands, like Runeterra Academy as well, starting up again. Like that one's a big one too, right?
Yeah. You know what I think it is? I think it's the fact that the competitive player base is just dwindled down. Like, think about right now. I bet every one of us can name at least 5 people that used to grind every tournament that came up that don't even play LOR anymore.
Yeah, but there's also a lot more new people too that you can't even name.
True.
But are there new competitive people?
Yes.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of new people.
There's more than those who left. So I think a lot of the people who complain and left they're mostly upset because they're not as good anymore.
Yeah. So do you think the issue then is that these new players don't know where to find tournaments? Like, then what's the problem, right?
Because they're in tournaments though. Like if you pull up a tournament and look at like the player list, I can like guarantee you don't know like half of them. But you'll see them next week and the week after.
I guess the big question is just like, why is everything so small? Because again, the Mastering Runeterra tournaments had like I played in one and it had literally 12 people. So like out of those,
was like a logistics issue, right?
I had played in 2, both had 20 people, which was
20 people.
Cap, which is what we needed to like fund the prize pool.
Like having those 5 days a week with an entry fee that only takes credit card at like what time was it? It lasted until like 1 a.m. or something.
Yeah,
so 7 Eastern ended at 1 a.m. on a work day. I'm surprised you even got tournaments running.
Yeah. Okay, never mind. That definitely sounds fucked. But even though most like their recent tournaments, I don't think. What's the like a weekend tournament that's had like a big turnout compared to like what Door? Because I remember Door and Jamfest were pumping out like 100+ entrants.
I think Runeterra Life had like
though, right?
Didn't the last Runeterra Life tournament have like 133 people?
Yeah, that was the week after the patch, after the expansion.
I think so.
Yeah, and then I know last weekend we didn't have a big tournament, but the one before
OLS was the week before, right?
Yeah, OLS was the one before.
Sleepy Punda one.
Yeah, do we know how many people were in that one?
I didn't play, so I'm not sure.
I can try looking. Hold on.
I think the thing is people quickly realize that I think people just want money. Because the Runeterra Life one, didn't that one have like a $500 prize pool?
Yeah, it had a pretty big prize pool.
Yeah, I think people
500 or 1,000.
There was 115 people.
115, and that was a $200 prize pool, right? Because they've doubled their prize pool.
Sure. Yeah.
I think it's 200. It's either 100 or 200. I'm pretty sure
it's somewhere there. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's 200 now. But yeah, I think people realize like people compete for the money now. It's been a lot less of like I'm competing to get better, because what you said, I think a lot of people realize that they just aren't good enough, or they weren't as good as they wanted to be, or as their ego thought they were, and they just like quit. And they were saying things like shit game, not balanced, not whatever, blah blah blah.
Like, it's not only that, it's what people don't realize. Like you have all those people who are saying, oh, the game was best at like back then, or like Door and Jamfest had so many people. Yeah, the game was new.
Yeah,
that was also around the very first expansion of the game, which was Rising Tides, right? Yep. So obviously the game's popping off. Like, oh shit, the game's out in beta or out of beta. This is the first expansion. Yeah, I'm gonna try this game. Everyone's playing it, right?
Right.
But from then till now, what people fail to realize is why they got bad. It wasn't they got bad necessarily. It was everybody else's skill level, kind of rose because they've been playing more. They've been learning, right?
Yeah. And I think the game also changed. Like fundamentally, the game changed. I remember talking with Micah about this, or Drizoth, for those of you who know Drizoth from TF's guy. And the game, when he first entered, and things he loved about the game was it was extremely combat focused. And LOR, I don't know if you guys, played during the beta, remember, but it was extremely combat focused outside of the weird, like, one-offs, like Ezreal decks, right? Every deck was won, like, through combat. And then now, ever since Targon, like, the game kind of changed, right? It's like Lee Sin doesn't really need combat to win, or it kind of cheats. You have, like, TLC didn't need combat. Like, Azir Aurelia, quote-unquote, needs combat, but not in a real way. Like, they combat you by hitting you 50 times like in a turn, so it doesn't really count. They're just like this big
combat is a meme to that deck.
Yeah,
basically combo rise the more, right?
Exactly. Like, so it's just like
came more into power.
Right. It's these big combo decks, same with like your Darkodius right now. And there's no true like mid-range decks. Like I think this is actually the first time in literally since Bilgewater release that we've had like a mid-range meta. And then people quickly realize that it's not even a mid-range meta because you just shove fucking Bandle City cards at each other.
Yeah, honestly, I was gonna say like when we had Sivir Ionia meta, that was kind of mid-rangey as well, but it was kind of the same shit. It was just combo decks cosplaying.
Yeah, exactly.
Is Draven like and Shenfiora meta kind of?
Yeah. Was it that Bilgewater?
Yeah.
Because when was the last time Shenfiora was meta, my guy?
That was
long time ago.
Holy shit, was it?
Yeah. Okay, Shenfiora was last meta, the second seasonals. That was the seasonals Majin Bay one. And that was only because Fiora Shin had a not terrible matchup into TF Fizz.
Yep. You had to kill Fiora on site.
Yeah. If you didn't...
That was Targon. Yeah, that wasn't Bilge.
Yeah, that was Targon.
Because
that was KDA.
Whenever Fizz existed, Aphelios existed.
Right, Yep. Yeah, it was the seasonal Majin Bay one is when like mid-range was good.
Yeah.
Because you can also, I guess you could also consider Aphelios mid-range. It was like a weird mid-range control deck, the same way you consider
that was a weird ass
the same way.
I don't even know what you count that as.
Yeah, I would call it mid-range in the same way you call Draven Ezreal mid-range, where it's like they're both playing mid-range things, but control.
It's also like a combo,
Yeah.
I just think
you could
traditional
shit.
I just think traditional deck nomenclature doesn't work in LOR because decks really play at the speed that the pilots want to. You could realistically open pass for 3 turns and then just slam 3 1-drops on turn 4 with your burn deck if you really wanted to. You can go pass, decimate, slam a bunch of 1-drops, and try and swarm out that way and play your strategy that way. And you can really manipulate things to be and play however you want them to.
Yeah, and that's thanks to the fucking spell mana system, which is fucking weird.
Yeah.
But
pretty cool.
I think I think spell mana is great. I think when it's balanced, spell mana is great when spells are balanced. But yeah, I think the game has just changed a lot, and you either adapt or you don't. I'm not gonna name a player, but I'm sure all of you guys, I know all of you guys know this guy, but he was extremely good in beta. He was pretty good when Rising Tides came out, probably, I'd say top 2, in America's, top 5 in the world, and slowly, fell off more and more and more as the game, progressed, to the point to where, they don't even play LoR anymore.
It's okay, Mo, we still love you.
Yeah, okay. No, I was definitely not good during Rising Tides, I tell you what. But they, this guy doesn't even play LoR anymore, he streams something else. And it's because he doesn't like the game. He says all these complaints about it, and it's the complaints are somewhat valid, but then also a lot of them are also personal opinion of the game isn't how I want it to be. The game isn't as mid-rangey as I want it to be. It isn't as fair as I want it to be. So I'm gonna complain about it.
And I find some people who complain about things like that, they also bring up if they're a streamer or YouTuber or whatever, they bring up their views sometimes. And it's really weird when they do that, because they fail to comprehend maybe people just realize you aren't good and don't want to watch you, or maybe there's better people to watch.
Yeah.
Things like that, right? It's there's so much more people need to be thinking about than just the little, Ryan doesn't care about the game's gonna plummet.
Yeah. It's really easy to look at somebody else and point the finger. It's really hard to look at yourself and say, what am I doing wrong?
Yeah, I think one of the things I never did when I talked about how LoR Twitch was basically dying was I never used my numbers as an example, because I knew my numbers are shit for multiple reasons that had absolutely nothing to do with the balance of the game. So I always thought that was really funny or interesting when I saw other streamers do that, where they're oh, I used to average 100 viewers and now I'm only getting 50. And it's yeah, well, also 3 new big streamers have popped up, and
you took a 2-month break, and you stopped playing the meta deck.
Or it's you did something else wrong or something different, and maybe your people didn't like that or something. There's so many things that go into it if you use your own stuff, that if you ever use your own things and blame someone else for your numbers, I just think it's hilarious.
And I also want to talk about how you were saying before LoR was more combat based. That's also in turn because we didn't have all the regions, right? Technically the first regions that came out thematically are combat regions, right? Whereas Targon and Bandle are expected to be spell heavy or something like that, right? So now that we have all the regions, we could begin to see shifts into I don't know, different kinds of play styles, right?
Yeah.
Depending on how they do expansions and stuff in the future.
Right. Well, they've said that they're gonna do just individual champion expansions going forward, right? So we're just gonna get
No, did they?
Yeah, starting with that in the video.
Yep,
it's just going to be it's just going to be champion packages. So it's no more big sets. Weird. Yeah, it's just going to be how we got Aphelios and how we got Viego and how we got Jace. Yeah. Just little individual champion drops every couple months, I think.
Yep.
No, but it's still I know they said they're not doing the breaking up an expansion into 3 things. They're putting it all in one.
I thought it was just going to be champions,
it could support. Be I'm fairly certain it's not one champion. That's kind of crazy.
Not necessarily one champion, but a block of champions.
Yeah. I think it'll be maybe a champ.
I was under the impression that it was one champion.
Because
I thought it was going to be 1 to 3 champions.
I don't think they can do that. Because it'll never be 3 champions only or something, unless they're all for the new region. I could see the next one being just 3 champions with their new, what do they call it? Runeterra champs kind of region?
Yeah. Well, we know the next one is just Jhin, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that makes sense because we just got into full expansion.
Yeah. So I would imagine we're going to get Jhin, and then in 3 months, 2.5 months maybe, we'll probably get 2 normal champions, 3 normal champions, and then we'll probably get another
They're not doing that anymore. They're not breaking up sets anymore.
What do you mean?
If they're doing a set, in a booster pack, right? It's all there.
Yeah.
Like, you're gonna get a champ for every region.
Yeah, he's saying like
I don't
in this.
think so.
I don't know if he'll get like guaranteed one for every region, but I definitely understand. Like they did say they're not breaking up into 3 anymore. So for instance, in this last expansion, like for Bandle City, we wouldn't have gotten the expansion that has Tree, and then the expansion that has like Gnar, and then the expansion that has Vigor.
We would have gotten all at once.
Yeah, all of it in just one ginormous expansion.
Yeah, so instead of getting like 2 champs broken up over like 3 sets or 4 sets, this one was.
This one was like
3.
Yeah, it was 3.
It's always 3.
Yeah, I guess Jace didn't count, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So like instead of it being broken up like that, they're just gonna like slap it all at you in one shot.
Yeah, I just don't think it's gonna be. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be. I thought they said it was gonna be like Jace, like you're just gonna get your 1 to 2 champions.
That would be breaking it up though.
No, because it's not designed as like a whole big set. It's not. There's no overarching theme where they're releasing part of it in the beginning and then you gotta wait 2 sets to get the rest of it, like they did with Landmarks or like they did with the Rumble package.
So you're saying one region would have more stuff than the others for like 2 months?
Yeah. That was what I understood. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm not sure. I don't think it was explicitly stated one way or the other.
Yeah, I don't know. I think whatever they do in the future probably is going to be like really well thought out and probably catered towards more casual players. So, and I think casual players just want their cards. I think like that's all they care about is having new cards to play with. I think if you tell a casual player like, oh, we're doing an expansion, here's 10 cards, and then 2 months later go, here's 10 cards, like they're gonna hate it, because a lot of YouTube content, also people that watch YouTube videos want to see new content all the time. They don't want to get bored, and I think that's a big problem LOR has because of their balance cadence and stuff, is people get bored a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And if you give like such a small amount, like just Jin, like we know it's just Jin, right, or just Jace package, like if you do just that many cards, I think Jace package had like 12 cards in it.
Jace was really small.
Yeah, well I think even Aphelios didn't have that many cards either.
We got Viego and Akshan together. That was like,
well, that was also
relatively impactful.
That was like the event thing, right?
Yeah, that was also like an event or something. That was also kind of different, but I think
Aphelios was small. Yeah,
Aphelios was also
per region.
Small, right? So I think like
some extra Targon. Yeah,
I think that would be very disappointing for a good majority of their thing. I think everything Riot does in the future will probably just have their more casual player base in mind, because that is their 99.5% of their player base. And I think that's fine. I think it's just like a business move. I think it's something people are just going to have to really adapt to more than anything. But I think that's going to be it for this podcast, because it's gone on for just about an hour. So we'll let the people know where they could find you guys at. Monty.
You can find me at twitch.tv/Monte_Xristo. That is XRISTO. Or you can find me on Twitter at twitter.com/MonteXristoLOR. And yeah, that's you can also find my articles on masteringruneterra.com under Monte Xristo.
Shadowx.
Hi.
Sqweeby.
Find me at twitch.tv/Sqweeby21, Twitter, Sqweeby, YouTube, Sqweeby Gaming. Thanks for having us on, Mo.
You can find me at Shadowx on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, everywhere, really.
Yeah,
Shadowx. And of course, all their links and stuff will be down in the description down below. This was fun. I always like talking with the boys. I always like talking about competitive, because that's what I really care about when it comes to LOR and stuff. So glad I could have you guys on. And that's going to be it for this week. I'll see you guys in the next video.